Hello, welcome back to another episode of Truth Seekers Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Kenny Williamson. Today, we're going to be talking about several different things. Today is another one of those easy days, as they say. Didn't really have anything planned, but here we are. I'm still working on quite a few things, just haven't got those out yet. So, in the meantime, though, I thought I would touch bases with a few things that I had talked about the other day. One of those particular things was, in case you don't remember, was Dr. Death. If you listen to that podcast. If you listen to that podcast, you know who I'm talking about when I say Dr. Death. Well, yeah, it's looking a whole lot worse for old Dr. Death, you know. He, Mr. I am science, and you have to do what I say because I'm science. You know, when his diary got released, come to find out, you know, all the stuff he was really doing. Lying, cheating, stealing, murdering, whole nine yards. And then all this, you know, 6-foot rule and all that stuff, that's all made up. Just pulled it out of thin air. And I went somewhere the other day, I think it was Sam's Club, and to wait in line there for the little, some of the people there, they still have stickers on the floor that want you to social distance. Still today. Yeah, August 8th, 2026, we still have stickers at a Walmart owned property telling you need to stay 6 feet apart and social distance, which it's proven now that the devil here made that all up. But would you expect anything less from Walmart? You know, would you? One of the biggest, you know, conglomerates, corporations that's in on all this, forcing it, pushing it. All they do is talk about it. Well, they still got it. So, yeah. So, one of the few little things that I had forgot to mention whenever I did my little podcast about Dr. Death here is come to find out, you know, back in the 80s, he was pushing a drug called ATZ. Okay. What he was doing, he was pushing that drug for people who had AIDS. Okay. Well, there's videos have surfaced now of him, and I'm going to see if I can get it pulled up for you. But I saw it the other day, where he literally is telling this group of people how him and his group introduced this AIDS virus into the population on purpose. Okay. And then he goes on to explain how this particular disease is sexually transmitted. So basically sit back and watch the show, because as these people that he's infected go out and have sex with somebody, now that person's infected. And so basically wanting it with a smirk on his face about how many people are going to get infected through these sexually transmitted diseases that he and his group introduced. Not that are natural. These aren't natural diseases. They did it. That old gain of function thing. Well, before the snake bites came out, he was doing the same thing back in the 80s with another product called ATZ. Well, come to find out, it's deadly poison. Surprise, right? Are you surprised yet? I'm not. So, again, introduces a virus, HIV and AIDS, into a population of people. In this case, majority of homosexuals, gay people. Purposely introduces it to them on purpose to make them sick. Okay? Then comes out with a remedy called ATZ. And come to find out, the ATZ is deadly poison. So more people were unalived by the ATZ than they ever were from the disease. Finally, after so many people were unalived by it, the FDA pulls it off the shelf and makes it illegal. Can't make this stuff up. Same guy. Same guy. This is the same guy that, now not me, but lots of people put their faith into. They believe every word he says because he says, I'm science. Don't you know I am science? You can't argue with me because I am science. No, that's fake. It's fake science, pseudoscience. And this isn't his first rodeo. Okay? I told you about the stuff he did with the Beagles. Told you about the stuff he did with the kids. Before that, he had his eyes set on the gay population and introduced the AIDS to them. Same guy. So all the problems that these people have and people is due to him. Boy, that's a good doctor right there, isn't it? And hey, even more has come to light. Not only was he involved in all that, did it all. You know, they actually have an email, because, you know, they're starting to declassify this stuff, where, let's see if I can get it pulled up here. Not only was he doing this stuff, okay, they actually have an email here where he has a, what do they call this? Like a sports deal, you know, with the little brackets and everything. He actually was involved in that, in making one of those. And this thing literally, let me see if I can get it pulled up. Hold on one second. For some reason, it's not wanting to pull up. Okay, I think I got it pulled up. So he's calling this thing Dr. Fauci's March Madness Bracketology Picks, if I'm seeing that right. And he literally has brackets made here, like in a sporting deal. But up at the top, he has East, and it's got, SARS, MERS. I can't read all of his writing. On the South, you know, it's got the same stuff. Measles, this, that, this. On the one, Midwest has got Ebola, Zika, hepatitis, polio. On the West, he's got, you know, a whole bunch of others. West Nile. This goes on and on. I'll see if I can share the picture here for you, if you can see this. Yeah, so here it is. This thing is literally him and his bracket picks up there. Okay? Where, you know, he's got the winners over here on the right is Ebola. And see if I can see the other one. The other one, I can't even read it. Something. But in the very, very middle, guess who won it? The champion was coronavirus. And then, of course, it's got his name. And this was in an email, you know, from the chief medical officer from the CDC. So him and the chief medical officer from the CDC have got emails going back and forth with brackets, wagering on which one is worse and whatever. It's like a game to them. So this clown, this devil, okay, is with the CDC guy, who both of these people need to be executed immediately. If I was in charge, they would be hanging. They'd been hanging a long time ago. But the head of the Center for Disease Control and Dr. Death here, literally making brackets like sporting deals, doing their bets, and saying coronavirus is the champion. That's who won. So whoever bet on that was the winner. There's your doctor. That's the guy that had a whole bunch of people out there getting snake bites. That's the guy. After all the other stuff, there he is. He's still around. Now, they're trying to hone down in on him, supposedly. I think he'll get away scot-free. He will literally get away scot-free. And all the people from the past who perished, oh well. You weren't allowed to see your grandparents, oh well. He is going to still be a multimillionaire and collecting your tax dollars, by the way, for retirement and everything else, plus all the money he made on all the vaccines and all that. He's going to be living high on the hog from the rest of his life, I'm sure. Now, if we could actually get some states off their lazy butts and prosecute him for the crimes he committed in those states, he would go to prison, if they will. But, keep in mind, I'm sure he was directed to do most of it. I mean, yes, he's a devil. He's a liar, a devil, a killer. But somebody's telling him what to do. I mean, I'm sure he knows quite a bit about virology or whatever it is he was into. Maybe he really even is a doctor. I don't know. But either way, he's hell-bound, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. I can look at his ugly face, his rat face, and he deserves it. All the people that's been unalived and all the jokes that it just keeps on coming. The stuff they were doing this whole time while people were suffering, while people were going and getting snake bites and suffering even worse, and while people were not allowed to go see their parents or grandparents in an old people's home, and they had to die alone because you weren't allowed to go see them. Or they had a plastic wall up, a plexiglass wall, and you're not allowed to even touch them. That's another thing they were doing. This cat here, he's not wearing no mask. He's not doing none of that stuff. Lying, joking, having a good time, making lots of money even. All at the expense of, all the people that fell for it. Let me put it to you that way. There was a lot of them. I didn't fall for it, but I know a lot of people who did. A lot of people were peer pressured into it as well. So he's still around. They're still talking about him. I guess we'll find out if anything actually ever happens. Because we've had others here that have been doing shenanigans for years and years and years, and they don't seem to be getting in any trouble. For example, let me tell you about another one. This is one that says explosive bombshell just dropped. This is not a bombshell. This has been I've heard about this for 10 years. One of our ex-presidents, Mr. Obama. Well, everybody knows that's not his real name. His real name is Barry, like Soruto, something like that. Barry Soruto? Yeah. So Barry, he was given this other name, and he was given a Social Security number. Well, they've traced the Social Security number back. It was actually handed out in 1977 to a French immigrant named Jean-Paul Ludwig, who lived in Connecticut. And so Ludwig goes to Hawaii, where he perishes from something. And just so happens that's where O'Barry gets his new birth certificate with that guy's Social Security number on it. What a surprise. So we just keep burying people, and burying their files, giving them fake information, fake documentation. This has been going on. Everybody knows that. I mean, they showed a picture of the birth certificate years ago. It's fake. Everybody that looked at it, everything has been overdone and it's been all filled out. It's fake, completely fake. And then the one lady who signed off on it over there, the only one lady that could sign off on it, well, she was in an airplane crash. And they've got her all on film even. And she gets out and is flopping around, in her little life jacket with everybody else. And they're just talking calmly because this was basically a non-event. It landed in the water. And, she goes to shore with everybody else. And, sorry, she's no longer with us. So they took care of that real quick, didn't they? Well, she didn't drown. She had a heart attack later. The stress of it all. So anybody involved in this stuff, they never seem to live very long after that. Have you ever noticed that? So you get involved with these crooked devils, and all of a sudden, you drop dead. Or you get in a car crash, or an airplane crash, or you have a heart attack, or a drug overdose, or you commit suicide. Over and over and over. My advice to you would be not to get involved with these devils, because that's always the outcome. Okay? If you're too low on the totem pole, the outcome is not going to be very good for you. Okay? So just stay away from it. Would be my advice to you. But so that's another deal that's come out. You know, they've traced it. They know the guy's got fake credentials. The guy was never born in America to begin with. You're supposedly supposed to be an American to be the president. Again, though, he's an actor. He's a paid actor. So he's an actor. He was put in position and given fake credentials. What a surprise. I mean, it never ends, folks. Never ends. So if this is provable, do you think he's going to get in trouble for that? Of course not. Of course he won't. Do you think the people that forge this stuff is going to get in trouble? No, they're not. None of them are. They're going to go and they're going to keep on doing the exact same things that they've been doing. No questions asked. It's just like, hey, I got you. All right. So I've got another video here. This is a pretty interesting one. And like I've said, these people are devils. They're pedophiles. They're actors. They're thespians. They're the whole thing. This is a picture here of Bill Clinton, you know, when he was president, a little video of him, you know, right before they do one of their little fake studio shoots, you know, where they come on and tell you a bunch of lies. And so he's getting his makeup done. But I want you to pay attention to how he acts afterwards. Okay, let me see if this will share it. Let's see if it'll share. There it is right there. I apologize, I can't make it any bigger. It doesn't seem to want to go any bigger. Let me try that. Maybe I could drag it a little bigger. Let's see if I can make it drag a little bit. Well, it's not going to drag it. Anyway, there he is. He's sitting there. Let me hit play for you. As you can see, she's putting on the makeup. Look how emotional. He has no emotion. He's not moving. She's done with the makeup. He comes back. Look at him. He's literally not moving. He's not even blinking. He's doing nothing. He's like a zombie. So, what's the deal with that? Is he a zombie? Is he drugged? Kind of weird, wouldn't you say? I mean, I'll let it play there for a little while. I mean, if you don't have video, you're listening to audio only. Let me just say, he's sitting in a chair, staring straight forward, completely motionless. He has no emotion at all. He's not blinking. He looks like a corpse almost. Now, when she rubs the thing by his eyes, he kind of flinches just a little, and then sits there afterwards and just stares with a blank stare. So he's either a zombie being controlled, a devil. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you see the thing for yourself. But these are the people that are in charge, by the way. He's one of the ones that, you know, big Epstein guy. Oh, loves to go out to the old island, the old Epstein Island, and hang out, like 40, 50 trips type deal. He's one of those guys. So they've got him drugged or something here. Not sure what it is, but it's another one of those, hey, what are we looking at? Another fake actor. I'm here to tell you guys, these people are devils, they're liars, they're pedophiles. Okay? When they tell you to do something, you do the opposite. Okay? You run away from people like these. So these are the same clowns that were on TV every day telling you to get a snake bite. Same ones. They all hang out together. They all hang out on the same islands. They all have the same agenda. You do the opposite of what these people tell you. If you want to live longer, you do the opposite. Okay? That's just a fact. So that's another one I wanted to mention. I've got several little things I want to talk about instead of one big long thing. Yeah, so the other thing I want to talk about, which I mentioned before, is I mentioned it with the rockets. So I talked about Elon Musk saying that the fish and wildlife needed studies done because they're worried about rockets hitting whales and they're worried about rockets hitting sharks. They're also supposedly concerned about seals and if rocket noises, distress them out. So we went over that. That's another podcast. You can check that out. One of the things I mentioned on there was the rocket, one of Musk's rockets, by the way, a SpaceX Falcon 9 is what they call it. Sounds pretty wild, don't it? The SpaceX Falcon 9. That sounds a lot like, Starship Enterprise. Fake. So I mentioned that it was supposed to crash into the moon. Well, it's supposedly, remember me telling you this? I said, it's going to crash into the moon, but we don't have any verification of that, right? Other than what the same liars that are telling you it's going to crash into the moon, they'll provide the photos, I promise you. Oh, they have now. They have. So this is a small update on that. So if you missed that episode, SpaceX Falcon 9 was a rocket that crashed on the moon on August 5th, 2026. It says this was the spent upper stage. Okay. It was a school bus sized 4 metric ton or 8,800, I guess that's about 8,800 pounds object slammed into the lunar surface unintentionally after drifting in space. Drifting in space for 18 months. Wow. Just drifting along. Maybe near the Sea of Tranquility. Hey, do you know what other spaceship just drifted in space? Well, if you watch the old movie Alien with Sigourney Weaver, well, after the alien ate up everybody on the spaceship, her and her cat are the only ones that escaped. Well, she was set adrift in outer space. And I think she supposedly was drifting for 70 years. They were set adrift. So anyway, 18 months, right? So let's see. Oh, this one says, this is the mission background. On January 15th of 2025, a Falcon 9 launched from Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. It carried 2 private lunar landers. So I guess there's private lunar landers supposedly running around on the moon right now. Never knew that. Did you? I've heard of the NASA's lunar lander and their Mars rover, but now I guess we've got private things on the moon now. One was called Firefly Aerospace Blue Ghost Mission, and the other one was called iSpace's Resilience. Now it says it crashed during its landing attempt, so I guess we're back down to 1, right? Let's see. The upper stage boosted the payloads into a high-energy lunar trajectory. Keep in mind, this is all fake. Keep that in mind. This is a word salad, is what this is. To try to make it sound like, oh my gosh. Okay. It says after separation, it lacked enough residual propellant. So in other words, what, gasoline, rocket fuel? What is it? Okay. For a controlled disposal burn, it was left in a highly elliptical Earth orbit, yada, yada, yada. So over the following months and a year, gravitational pull, and you see gravitational something from Earth, the moon, and the sun, plus solar radiation pressure, which made the object tumble, right? It gradually shifted orbit, and basically it crashed. It says SpaceX stated that the natural forces put it on the collision path. The impact was unintentional. So they would never, junk up the moon with space junk, would they? It's unintentional. We didn't mean to crash it. Maybe the moon man's complaining about it. All the trash being dumped on the moon, supposedly. Okay. Yeah. The company noted that it had followed applicable disposal guidelines for the high energy trajectory, and it's working with NASA, not a space agency. It's working with NASA on better practices for future missions amid rising lunar traffic. So they want you to believe that they've got all kinds of stuff going on onto the moon. I heard Trump say something here a while back about putting a nuclear reactor on the moon. So I guess we're going to have lots of lunar traffic. This is fantasy, okay? This is your tax dollars being siphoned off so certain people can have mansions and properties and stuff right here on Earth. They won't be on any moon, I promise you that. So, finally, the thing crashes the other day, right? And we have proof that it crashed. Do you want to see it? Oh, it's a very compelling proof. In case, you don't believe it. Well, let's see here. Oh, and where did we get the proof from? Well, here's the thing. You just can't see it from Earth. Sorry. But it happened. Don't you believe me? Well, don't worry. We got some pictures of it. These pictures were captured by none other than South Korea, because see, they have a lunar orbiter. Didn't know if you knew that or not, but South Korea has a spaceship going around the moon, and it took the pictures for us. Okay, so all you got to do is believe everything they say. Let's see if we can get a picture or two brought up here for you. Okay, let's show you. Should be that button right there. There it is. Impact location of SpaceX Falcon 9 upper stage. So see, this is the blown up version right here. If you can see that. I'm trying to roll my mouse around on it. There it is. See that black thing right there? That's the crater. Now, that's a highly magnified deal from something right above it in outer space, right above the moon. See? Right above the lunar surface. Now, if you look here, it's just a really, really small, just a black, insignificant nothing. But see, this can only be seen from lunar orbit. You can't see that from Earth. Thank goodness Korea just happened to have a spaceship to give us this picture, right? It's not CGI. It's not fake. It's real. All right, let's do another one here. This is on the left before. and this is after. You see, we've got some lines right there. That's supposedly where it hit and made another crater. But again, you can't see this from Earth. You have to be really close to the moon, like with a multi-million or billion-dollar spaceship that's flying around the moon. Thank goodness they were able to send it right to the impact site at the moment it happened, and we can see the whole thing here. Thank goodness. Now, they have lots of videos out that shows this thing hitting the moon and dust coming up. Looks just like this. And here's the problem. In the little facts underneath that AI and all them put out, it says, this is not an actual video of this happening. This is a representation of what it would have looked like, because they just couldn't get it filmed. Now, they show you the video, and they pretend that it's real. And then AI comes underneath and says, well, wait a second, hey, it's not real. This is just a depiction, an artist depiction. So, but they've got the same surface, and they've got the same lines, and it even puffs out smoke. So somebody spent an awful lot of time and effort making a fake image, but they don't portray it as fake. They portray it as real. And then you read on, then it admits that it's fake. So these guys do fake stuff all the time, in case you're wondering. Okay? So, in fact, I think I have some of those. Let's just look. Okay, I've got that pulled up here. Let's see if we can see it. Okay, this is kind of small. I wish it was bigger. But here's the moon, right? We got the moon right here. Here it is. Right here. And so let's watch it. Okay? Here we go. You see that right there? Flying through the air, through space. Watch it. Watch it. Watch it. Hits the moon. Makes a big plume of smoke. And here we go. There it is again. There it goes. There it's flying. Boom. Okay. I'm just going to let that keep playing here while I'm talking, but I am going to mute. SpaceX, here's the news. SpaceX rocket has crashed into the moon, leaving 100-foot crater. There you can see it. I mean, there it is. They're showing this stuff all over the place. Here's the problem. Context, they thought people might want to know. While this event did recently occur, the video is from a TikTok account that specializes in AI-generated content. Let's see. This follows the same pattern seen in 2022. Okay, so they're admitting that this is not real. And that's not even all that it said. See, it says right here, in this one, it says, well, where did it go? It tells you that it's not real. It says that nobody was able to view anything. So these things that you're seeing here are not real. Yeah, this one here says, the video depicts a simulation. It's not actual footage of the impact. No visual recording of the crash exists. The impact itself was confirmed via spectroscopic direction of a plume detection. Spectroscopic detection of a plume. So in other words, nobody saw anything. All these videos you see are fake. Anything you see in outer space video is fake. It's all CGI. Okay, it's all Cartoon Network. There's nothing like this is real. So see, they show these pictures and it's like, oh, well, I've seen it. I saw it myself. No, you're seeing a fake AI picture. Now it's AI. It used to be CGI. Now AI will do it for you. This stuff is fake, guys. It's fake. So if you can post this up there and people pretend that it's real until somebody calls it out, the ones that you're getting supposedly from Korea are fake as well. Now, I'm sure Korea didn't even make them. Somebody here did. Probably somebody in NASA. Doesn't make any difference, though, does it? Doesn't make any difference. I was watching a deal the other day where they're talking to one of these, a scientist, okay, who worked for NASA and worked for JPL, Jack Parsons deal, JPL Labs. He's the one that was one of the beginning founders of NASA who worshiped the devil openly, worshiped demons to try to tell him how to make rockets. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up. So somehow, him worshiping the devil and having orgies to show him how to make space rockets, somehow his company is still a big, huge contractor for NASA. Why do you think that is? Well, that's because they want to launder billions of your tax dollars. And because they're a government agency, people could do FOIA requests and see what they're spending the money on. Okay? So what they do is they use these NGOs, non-governmental organizations, like JPL Laboratory. And they say, well, we didn't make the rocket. We didn't spend $10 billion on the rocket. We gave the $10 billion to JPL. And JPL built us the rocket. See our rocket? Oh, well, now do you see these images from outer space, these fake images? That came from the rocket that JPL built for us that only cost $10 billion. So then somebody might say, well, how do I know the rocket really cost $10 billion? I would like to see the proof. Well, can't do that. Now you can do a request to see that we spent the $10 billion at JPL. You see, but JPL is a privately owned corporation. So it's none of your business what they do. You see, that you don't get an open FOIA request for a privately owned business. They do our work for us. We just write them a check. So yes, you can see that we wrote them a check. That's as far as you get to see. You don't get to see what JPL did with the money or any other NGO. That's why our government uses them. That's why NSAID, USAID that's why they were writing all these big, huge checks to these NGOs. What the government does, in case you don't understand this, is the government doesn't produce anything. All they do is take. So what they do is they take all your tax money. But because they're the government here, they're supposed to show you what they spent it on. You should be able to look, right? Because it is your tax money. It's your money. So we need to see what they're spending it on. Well, they don't want you to see what they're spending it on because obviously you'd be irate and you'd want your money back or you'd quit paying your taxes because they're clearly blowing it on frivolous junk. So instead, what they do is they hire NGOs, non-governmental organizations, to launder the money. So they say, well, we've got a helicopter on Mars. Okay. Now, we both know helicopters can't fly on Mars. We all know that. We know that there's no atmosphere on Mars, if you could even get to it, which you can't. But what I'm saying is they even claim, the people that are taking your money, they claim that you can get to Mars and there's no atmosphere on Mars. But yet they claim they have a helicopter flying on Mars. There's no air, but they have a helicopter on Mars. Now, this helicopter somehow takes off and lands all on its own with no accidents, doesn't need any maintenance, needs nothing. Okay? Somehow is running on a battery and flying. That's what you have. This is Cartoon Network. This is Saturday morning cartoons. It's impossible. We know it. You know it. Everybody knows it. But there are people who don't know it. They're like, oh, Oh, well, where'd that trillion go? That $1 trillion? Oh, because we put a remote control toy helicopter on Mars? Okay, take my money. I'll live in squalor and I'll starve so we can show pictures of toy helicopters on Mars. There are people that stupid. Okay. So, having said that, you can't get to Mars. We don't know anything about any atmosphere on Mars because Mars isn't a planet as described. It's a wandering star. God only knows what it really is, but it's nothing what NASA says. NASA knows you can't check it out. That's why they're doing it. Nobody can verify any of this stuff but them or one of their very highly paid NGOs. So they will back it up and say, oh, yeah. Yeah, we've got all that information. We work for the government. So JPL's still around. Same guy that's helped start NASA by worshiping the devil and having orgies, worshiping demons to conjure up spirits to tell him how to build rockets. And that is not a joke. I'm not kidding. You can verify all that. You can Google that. I mean, it's actually on Google. They're not even hiding it. Why would they? They openly worship the devil. Why would they care if you know they worship the devil? They don't. Because they're going to take your money anyway. You're still going to pay for it. Doesn't matter what they do. So, we've got non-governmental organizations. They pay the money to. Then the money disappears. They give you grainy pictures, or they give you, pictures of remote control fake helicopters supposedly flying on Mars, and the money is gone. Disappears. Well, it just so happens these same people are, sailing around in yachts and got private jets and mansions, the whole 9 yards. So we know where the money's going. It's being laundered. So my theory is organizations like NASA. By the way, the point I was getting to is one of these guys that worked for JPL or NASA or something like that. He said they literally share the same parking lot with Walt Disney. Walt Disney. Does that surprise you? Understand the stuff that they're doing is a fake production. When I said Cartoon Network, I meant it. That's not just a oh, you're just being funny because no. They literally work in a studio, a film studio with Walt Disney Corporations to make this stuff. It's fake. Okay? It's absolutely fake. Anyway, the guy said when he went to work, they literally parked in Walt Disney parking lot. They're in conjunction with. Oh, you don't believe me? Well, one of the main guys that started NASA, not only was it JPL, Jack Parsons, we also have Werner von Braun, right? From Germany, supposedly brought over here with Operation Paperclip. He supposedly was helping, he is a Nazi. He was part of the Nazi party and, whatever they were doing over there. But nevertheless, here he shows up and, supposedly going to be convicted of war crimes. But instead of being convicted of war crimes, well, they bring him over as a scientist, and he's one of the first guys at NASA. I mean, he's the one that developed the V2 rocket that supposedly took astronauts to the moon, right? Well, they've got pictures of him and Walt Disney hanging out together. They've got pictures of Werner von Braun with a big globe with a Mickey Mouse sitting on top of it and Walt Disney right beside him. I'm not kidding. There's pictures of Werner von Braun and Walt Disney laughing and joking, and Walt Disney holding a fake rocket ship in his hand, a model. Why do you think that is? Seriously. That's because Walt Disney was into making cartoons, movies, and all that stuff, and they needed a guy like Walt Disney to help them make fake junk. And that's what he did. So the guys at NASA are hanging out with a guy from Walt Disney. One is supposed to be real science. One is cartoons. So why do they need to share a parking lot and share a building right next to NASA? Why do you think? The same reason that NASA's big building over there that they talk about all the time is full of nothing but film studios. Okay? The same reason why back in the 70s and 80s, over there at Laurel Canyon in Hollywood, right at the top, there was an Air Force installation that they did all the media. That's why all the actors and stuff came from right that area. Okay? They were filming all the stuff. That particular film studio is the one that filmed the H-bomb supposedly being dropped and all these atomic bomb testings. They're the ones that produced all those videos in conjunction with people like Walt Disney and big name brand actors and directors. They have people said over there at that particular location, and I'll do a podcast on it. I'll get details. There was tons of Hollywood producers and actors in that same building as the Air Force and the military. That's because they're producing fake videos and claiming that they're real. One of the videos, which I'll just have to go over and show you, is the one, I know you've seen it. It's supposedly the atomic bomb being tested out in a remote location, and it shows you what it does to houses and stuff. Well, it doesn't take much to figure out that those houses and cars and everything are nothing more than models. They're fake. In fact, they're not even full size, they're miniature. So what they did is they had it on a film set somewhere, and they dusted up a film set and built a bunch of little miniatures and then blew up a stick of dynamite or something next to it and filmed it in slow motion. That's what they did. There's no such thing as the stuff they're saying, the atomic bombs. I believe those are all fake as well. It's a scare tactic. So here, it's just another one of those deals. And I've even got more information on that where, anyway, they're the ones that film the stuff at the top of Laurel Canyon, which is over there it's in California by Hollywood. Lots of actors, singers, all those people came from Laurel Canyon. Most, if not all of those people that were in on a lot of that stuff, like the low end totem pole guys I was telling you about, they all turned up unalive, all of them. So they're in on it to some degree, and then they're unalived. And so that's a big thing with Laurel Canyon is lots and lots of actors, actresses, movie stars, singers, all came from there. It just so happens that lots of those big name brand people, their parents were up at the military deal. They were admirals, captains, colonels, you name it. And their kids just happened to be all of a sudden popular on the news, on all the radio stations. Well, that's because that's who's running it. They were running it from that particular place. They're still running it from Hollywood. It's all fake, guys. That's why you get these people, you will see them like an actress, let's say, or an actor, and come to find out their dad is some bigwig in the military. That's not a coincidence. That's because it's a military government apparatus running everything. They're all run by Satan. They're all high-end, high-up pedophiles and devils. That's the whole thing is that. I mean, I've told you that from the beginning. The whole thing on the back end is being run by Satan. And they're all in on it. So, anyway, so NASA, JPL, and Walt Disney share the same parking lot. Walt Disney was around with JPL and with Werner von Braun doing the whole entire NASA thing. It's a production. It's fake. It's just what it is, dudes. It's just what it is. That's why I've got a website called It's Flat Bro. Okay. They're lying to you. Everything they've ever taught you is a lie. Everything about the globe is a lie. It all comes from devils. It all comes from atheists. It all comes from Hollywood, which is ran by the devil, which is ran by it's all it is. It's a giant psyop. And these guys aren't scared. These guys aren't scared of showing you that. Lots of the things, like we had something that happened. For example, I'm going to give you one brief episode here of this. There was a band called The Doors. Okay. The lead singer of The Doors is the son of a big Navy admiral that was over there in Laurel Canyon. Just so happens that big Navy admiral sailed all the ships over there to the Gulf of Tonkin. Have you ever heard of this? That is a false flag event where they claimed they were attacked. Whole bunch of people unalived, sailors, military. They were all sunk out in the ocean and unalived, so we could get into war to the Vietnam War. So the thing that sparked the Vietnam War was a fake false flag event. That's proven. You can Google it yourself. Everybody knows it now. Well, the guy that was behind the whole Navy deal, something Morrison, well, his son was Jim Morrison from The Doors. Before Jim was with his long hair singing, come on, baby, light my fire. Before he was singing that, he was real clean cut, and there's pictures of him with his dad on Navy ship, and he actually was an actor. Imagine that. Talking about colleges, advertising colleges. So next thing you know, he's lead singer of The Doors and talking about taking drugs and all the hippie movement deal. His dad is the one that did the false flag that got us in the Vietnam War, which millions of people were unalived. That's the kind of people we're dealing with. So constantly fake events, constant false flags. That's this whole thing. And so then, you watch their fake pictures of the Artemis, fake pictures of the moon, fake pictures of satellites hitting the moon or rockets hitting the moon. It's all the same deal. It's all fake. You need to understand that. It's a giant propaganda machine running to get you over here when you should be here. They want to, somebody wants to make, for example, why would you do something like that? Why would they go into a war? Well, let's see. They've got all these NGOs. It's like, what's that got to do with anything? Well, it takes lots of money to get all the helicopters, tanks, Hummers, Jeeps, field artillery, all the food. It takes lots of stuff to get all the people over there, for example, in Vietnam, to fight. Well, they're using NGOs to do this work, and they charge the government billions to do it. So somebody's making lots of money. Every time we have a skirmish like that, and you've got to start transporting stuff, it costs lots of money. Well, I mean, if we were in a war all of a sudden, and I just so happen to own a company that can transport people over there, well, and I'm an unscrupulous devil, well, I'm going to be like, yeah, bring on another war because I made millions. I made billions. They're using all my trucks and planes and boats to do all this stuff. So yeah, people make a lot of money on that stuff. So it's like, well, hey, we need to get this war machine rolling again. We got to make some more money. Well, how are we going to do it? Well, let's pretend somebody attacked us. Okay, well, the thing is, if we pretend that, there could be lots of people that get injured or unalived, our own people. Well, hey, you think anybody cares about that? We need this big money, high dollar. So that's the way it works. That's the way it's always worked. That's what happened. Let me put it to you if you don't understand this, and I got to be real careful what I say. That's what got us into a war over there in like Iraq, is a big, giant false flag event that happened in New York City. You understand? Okay. Rumor has it there's going to be another one real soon that's going to get us in a big war with Iran. that somehow Iran is supposedly going to bomb something here in the United States of America, which is going to get us in a war with them, but it's not really them, it's our own deal again. Just like Morrison, Admiral Morrison, false flag events. Yeah, that's very possible. So, having said all that, that's kind of an overview of a whole bunch of little things. But that's what's going on in our little world we have today. We are being ran, just like Putin said, by vampires. Okay? It's a vampire ball is what's going on here. We have sick pedophiles that like the red stuff. Okay? Vampires. And that's who's running the show. And they're money hungry, and they're hungry for that red stuff. And they're going to get it. They've always got it. Until Jesus Christ himself comes back down here and establishes himself as the King, the Lord, until he gets back down here and takes care of stuff, this is what we have to look at. And it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get any better, folks. I'm sorry, but if you hear a preacher or whoever telling you about how there's going to be a big revival and everything's going to get better, well, here's the problem with that. They're not reading their Bible, because the Bible doesn't say that. The Bible says it's going to get worse and worse and worse until Jesus finally comes back and puts an end to this filth. Now, when he does that, there's going to be a whole lot of people don't like it, because their little shenanigans are done. It's over. Okay, you don't get to do your this whole pedophile ring and it's done. You're done. It's done. You're done. It's over. So you think they're going to be happy about that? They're not. That's why the Bible says after Christ rules with an iron fist here on the earth, physically, on a throne, okay, he's going to allow this to go on for 1,000 years. After that 1,000 years are up, there's still going to be people come back and try to attack and kill him. They hate him because they want to go back into the thing they've been doing. So when Satan is loosed for a little season, all these people are going to rally up again and say, yeah, we didn't like it to begin with. We never liked him over here anyway. We want to go back to our pedophile rings and our pornography rings and our slave rings, a child slave, child's this, children. That's what they want to get back to. So they're going to want to get him off the throne, but unfortunately it doesn't work. Fortunately for us, it doesn't work. Unfortunately for them, it doesn't work. You see what I mean? So I can't wait for that time to come. You know, as they call it, the Lord is tarrying. He's taking his time to get here. Why? I don't know. I have no idea. I guess so more people can maybe get woke up, can come to the truth. I don't know. But I'm hoping that's what happens. And I'm hoping, it's the rapture of the church, and then Christ will return. Hopefully that's sooner than later. It may not be in my lifetime, but I think it will be, because I don't know how we can get any lower as a society, honestly. How can you get any worse? We literally have a vampire ball running the United States of America, running the world, as far as I know, the whole earth. This stuff is literally going on, and they get away with it because it's all the same people. And you got guys like me and you and everybody else. We just have to kick back. We have to go to work. We have to pay our bills. We have to pay our taxes, so these people can continue on doing anything they want to do. And we live in constant fear that the government's going to come in and take your home. They're going to come in and take this. They're going to come in and do this. Or they're going to accuse you of a crime that you didn't commit and put you away or execute you. I mean, you're in constant fear. The only thing you can rely on is God himself to protect you. So that's what I pray. I pray if you're a saved Christian, that God protects you. If you're in the body of Christ, we me, you, any of us that are saved, that are in the body of Christ, we need to constantly be praying that God protects all of us as a body of Christ and gets us through this, and that we don't get fooled by this stuff, because, even the Bible says there's going to be fake teachers, false teachers, all this stuff. And it says that if Christ doesn't return when he does, it's going to get so bad that even the elect themselves could be fooled, if that was possible. It says, if it was possible, even the elect themselves could be tricked, fooled, deceived. So that's pretty bad. But, think about it. Everything you listen to on the Tell You a Vision is going to tell you a lie. All your school books are telling you lies. All of your school teachers are telling you lies. All of the news, everything is telling you a lie. So that's why the Bible says, if it was possible, even the elect themselves could be deceived. Because that's why you see all these people who are church-going Christians who are completely oblivious, because their mind is being warped with propaganda nonstop. It never ends. It doesn't matter if you're on X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You are going to see the fake news constantly drilling it in. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. You came from a monkey. You came from a monkey. That's all they do. That's all they talk about. So if, it says, here's the key though, if it were possible, the elect themselves could be deceived. But I don't believe the actual elect can be deceived. Not to that point. That's why there's guys like me and millions of others who are trying to tell people the truth. Say, just wake up. And you're being lied to. Wake up, get saved, ask for discernment once you're saved. Ask for Jesus Christ to give you discernment so you can see through these lies. Then you don't have to worry about it anymore. But if you're not saved, they're going to fool you from every angle. You'll never know the truth. But having said all that, it's been over an hour. I digress. I'm going to get off my soapbox. I know you're tired of hearing me ramble. I know you are. So, thanks for listening. Like, share, come on back. Have any questions, comments, please leave them. I read them all. And I like doing podcasts on questions, comments, and answers. So please leave me one. Leave me something. Or give me an email. truthseekers2012@gmail.com. Okay? Check that stuff out. Thanks for listening. Reach out. Any questions, whatever. I like answering emails too. Until we meet again, God bless you.